Hello friends, welcome back. Today we're talking about how to do a mid-year reset. As we learn and evolve throughout the year, we collect new data. This ultimately might lead us to shift our wants and needs, which is why a mid-year reset is important. A mid-year reset at this halfway point in the year is crucial for aligning your actions with your evolving goals. If overlooked, you might risk spending the rest of your year off course, perhaps missing some opportunities for intentional growth and progress. So if you're interested in a mid-year reset, you clicked on the right video. Today, we're going through 4 methods I call mindful methods, which are practical ways to conduct a mid-year reset so you can reflect on what's working, what's not, and strategize a way forward for the next half of the year. We'll start with resetting our mindset, then follow up with checking in on our goals, then we'll revamp our routines, and lastly, we'll do a good old digital declutter. If you're a Notion girly like me, don't worry, I got you. I'll also be providing you with an accompanying step-by-step guide that'll go through everything we listed here in this video in more detail. It's totally free. Just click on the link and it'll guide you to that Notion hub so you can conduct your own reset. Also, feel free to skip around with the timestamps if you find a method that you feel resonates the most with you. I am so excited to talk about this. I am definitely in need of my own reset, child, so I'm gonna be doing all of these things that I mentioned here. The first method of our reset is a mental check-in. Like I said, we've received a lot of data over the course of the first half of the year, so it's really important just to do that check-in to reconnect with ourselves and see where we're at. First thing I like to do before I even get started is set the mood and the tone for this session. I don't know about you, but the environment really affects my mood. So what I like to do is create an environment that really facilitates me showing up as my truest self. So here you can ask yourself, how can I create a calm, inviting space to prep for self-exploration? You can just kind of jot down and go through a little list of what you want to do to set up. My personal faves are lighting a candle, throwing on a good playlist, making a warm, cozy drink, and putting my phone either on D&D or just tossing it completely in a different room away from the space. Now we're ready to journal for clarity. Journaling is one of the best ways you can really assess what's working and what's not working. You can totally choose to free write if you have the words just bursting out of you, you already know what you want to say, or you can also use prompts to help you get started. Some of my favorites are: what are my most important values and have they shifted since the start of the year? What are the things in my life currently giving me the most joy? Are there currently any areas of my life that are causing me stress and anxiety? What am I most excited for in the current months? The next thing we can do to assess our mindset is check in with our vision board. If you joined me back in December for our 2024 New Year reset, then you know that we did our vision boards together. We were able to capture our highest vision together and place it somewhere where we can see it every day. I chose to do a digital board and I placed it in my yearly and weekly planners in Notion, as well as saved it as my iPad and my laptop screensaver. And even if you didn't do our reset, you likely made a vision board for yourself at the beginning of the year. So now it's time to verify if that vision still resonates. Here are some questions you can ask yourself. When I look at this board, what inspires me the most about it? Do the images and phrases on my board still resonate with me right now? Why or why not? What actionable steps have I taken thus far towards realizing my highest vision? Where might I currently be struggling? And if I'm currently struggling in a particular area, what's one thing I can do to move the needle forward? If you find that maybe some or all of your message on your board don't quite resonate, you can definitely edit or even completely redo your vision board. I know of some people who personally do quarterly vision boards, right? The point is to make sure that your North Star, your highest vision for yourself, is still providing you with an accurate picture. If you haven't done your vision board yet, or perhaps you'd like to make a new one for the next half of the year, you can see my vision board planner in the description. The next helpful part of our mindset check-in is to brain dump. Brain dump all the little things we put off and schedule them into a life admin day. A life admin day, or maybe series of days, is just a designated time to get all of the what I call might do or someday tasks just done and completed, checked off of your to-do list. Tasks like scheduling doctor's appointments, dropping off those packages that need to be returned, decluttering your pantry, etc. So go ahead and get any lingering tasks out of your head and into your favorite task management system. You can use any system for this, whether it be GCal, Notion, a physical planner, or good old pen and paper. I personally use my integrated weekly planner in Notion. It's flexible, it's dynamic. Like I said, I can use the databases for task management, but also has space to write down those quick little jots and reminders. So that's what's been working for me thus far. If you just started using Notion and you're looking for a template like this and you don't want to build one from scratch, I have one in the description for you. I also have a video showing you how I use it in detail, so you can check that as well. Which brings us to the second method. Now that we've had some time to after reflect, we can then go into seeing how we're feeling about the progress that we're making on our goals. The first thing I like to do here before anything else is just take some time to celebrate the wins, whether big or small. So think to yourself, what completed goals am I most proud of? Just take some time to jot that down so you can have it front and center. So we're gonna dive a little deeper to see if our remaining goals still resonate and then determine what our capacity is to accomplish the other goals before the end of the year. We'll go through this revision process using a 3-step framework. This is the same process I use when I plan my goals either at the start of the year or at the start of a quarter. So first, we will establish or reestablish our purpose. Easiest way to do this is just to simply brain dump the remaining goals we have for the year. Then we'll think about the outcome. Here, we want to define our goals clearly and consciously, and then reflect a little bit more on them to determine our why, our reasoning for wanting to achieve these goals. Then we want to think about what the outcomes are, what we hope to gain upon successful completion of our goal. Maybe you find that your why and your reasoning behind your goal hasn't changed since the start of the year, or maybe you find that you'd like to tweak something, or maybe you find that your current goal and the outcomes don't exactly resonate with you at this point, which is totally fine. That's why we're doing a check-in. And finally, arguably most importantly, we can plan and actually put things into action. So again, similar to our last method, you can use any system you'd like for this, whether you have those little cute spiral bound planners or your journal. Again, I personally use Notion because it gives me that flexibility to kind of move things around that traditional pen and paper can't. I can easily change things up, drag and drop different goals or action plans into different buckets if I need to push things back. My yearly planner is also linked to my weekly planner as well as my general tasks list. And all this is linked to my homepage so I can easily see the most relevant tasks according to the week or the month or the quarter that I'm in relatively easily. Overall, it's just great. Whatever you decide to use, it's helpful to categorize your goals. So of course, I have my quarterly goals, but maybe you'd like to organize yours by priority level so you can tackle high priority items first at this point in the year. You also just want to be honest with yourself about the actual bandwidth that you have to complete these goals. If you don't think it's feasible to complete something by the end of this year, or no longer aligns with your vision, that's totally okay. That's the beauty of it. Life is not static and there's always next year. The next method of our 4-part reset, maybe my favorite method, is refreshing and revamping your routines. Routines are an integral part of forming and sustaining helpful habits. Though they require consistency, that doesn't mean that they are static and can't be changed based on when our needs change. So first, in typical fashion, we're gonna evaluate our routines and what's working and what's not working. It's helpful to ask yourself questions like, what does your higher self prioritize? How would I like to feel when I implement my favorite routines and rituals? Is there anything I feel like I'm missing from my routines and rituals? How can I create more space for these activities? How do I wanna spend my mornings and evenings? What are my non-negotiables? Once we got a good idea going, we can move on to the refresh. This is simply the planning and scheduling phase. You already know what I'm gonna say. I like to use a Notion database that's kind of similar to the Reset Hub that I shared with you. It's my little routines and wellness corner that I have. I just start by typing and laying out my current routines and rituals, and then just drag and rearrange until I find something that resonates. I can also go ahead and share the templates that I use. I have a bunch of like self-care and wellnessy templates. So if you're new to Notion and you don't want to start from scratch, I'll go ahead and link those in the description for you. Also, you can just use plain old pen and paper, simple. I also like to write down how long I think each part of my routine will take me. This is important for the scheduling phase. So after you've got everything laid out, it's time to schedule. Google Calendar is my go-to at this point. I have a whole video on how I plan and schedule my ideal week and how I use my weekly planner along with GCal for my weeks. I will leave that video linked if you'd like to see it. But essentially, I just create time blocks for my morning routine, my evening routine, my self-care time, and then I use my habit tracker in Notion just to keep track. If you're looking for a comprehensive digital system, i.e. in Notion, that helps you establish and sustain your self-care rituals and your routines, then check out the Mindful Rituals and Routines Notion pack. Essentially, it's a 4-template pack equipped with a habit formation worksheet, a routine and habit tracker, daily gratitude and reflections journals, and a wellness corner to help you dial in on your wellness pillars and personalize your self-care. And it's all laid out in one pretty little central hub for easy navigation through the pages. And if you're already using Notion, you can kind of just pull out what you need from that central hub once you've saved it to your workspace. This brings us to the 4th and final method, a good old digital declutter. If you are here for our 2024 digital reset, then you know that we did one together. It's important every so often just to conduct a digital reset since we're so glued to our devices. You know, we have lots of downloads, maybe in our download folder, emails we can clear out, images, all that good stuff that just clogs up our system memory. So let's just jog our memory on what steps we can take to declutter those devices relatively quickly. I just scooched over so I can put this here. I like to use this simple checklist. You can grab the full thing in the Notion hub, but I'm just gonna also post it here for you so you can just pause the video and take a screenshot. So first things first, we're going to clear out that junky inbox. Consider using apps like Spark to help. I love Spark. I've switched over from the native mail app that they give us on our Apple devices to the Spark app, and I haven't looked back. I use the free version and it works perfectly fine for me. But I know there are also a few others, so kind of just play around with the one that might work for you. But it's super easy to get to inbox 0 using the Spark app. Then we're gonna clear out and sort all of our apps. Be sure to do this on all of your devices, like your phone, your tablet, your computer. I know again that there are specific apps that do this for this, like Clean My Mac, for example. Or you can just go in one by one and figure out what you need and you don't need. I like to clean up my home screen. So sometimes when I download an app and I leave it on the second page of my home screen just to see if I'll use it enough or not, just making sure to remember to actually delete that or just remove it from my home screen entirely to keep my page more aesthetic, and also just delete the app for more storage on my phone. Also, because my devices are linked, my iPad and my phone in particular, sometimes I might want apps on my phone to stay on my phone, but I don't need them on my iPad because I use my iPad for a specific set of purposes. So I'll just go ahead and delete them from my iPad. Also important, clearing old browser bookmarks from your default browser. These days, my default browser is actually Arc. I switched over from Google Chrome and Safari on my phone. Now I use Arc Search on my phone. I've been testing that out, and I actually use Arc primarily on my computer, and I've been liking it so far. So I'll do a little updated video on kind of my productivity tech tips and tools, probably in a separate video. The next thing we want to do is implement or update our focus mode settings on our Apple products if we have them. If you're not using Apple products, this doesn't apply. Maybe, I'm not sure. But if you use work mode, if you have special modes that you've created, make sure that you kind of update those settings, whether you want to change the time of maybe your sleep mode or your work mode. Just make sure all those things are updated for optimized use. And this next one I personally love to do every so often, organizing your Google Calendar, especially if you're like me and you stare at it literally every day. Delete the old calendars that you don't need, based on little life shifts or life changes. Sometimes we don't need certain calendars. Also, every so often, I like to change up the colors, maybe for my mood or the season. Mine personally for a while has been these neutral earthy tones, but maybe towards the winter, I might want more cool tones. We'll see. And last thing, don't be afraid to make it aesthetically pleasing. Pretty up your digital spaces since we spend so much time in these digital spaces. Just make it a nice, calm, and inviting space to come to. Considering grabbing some cozy wallpapers, changing your app icons to match. I personally use Pinterest for this. On Pinterest, if you type in things like Safari pink app icon, it'll come up with a variety of app icons that designers have put on Pinterest. And sometimes they have little packs, so it's worth checking out if you wanna make your phone or your iPad a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. I have a couple videos that show this process of a digital declutter, so I'll go ahead and link them as well. This method is pretty simple, like I said, as opposed to some of the others that require a bit more thought and reflection. But like I said, just well worth it to just go in and clean out the things that we don't need anymore. We're done with them for specific projects, so we can go into Q3 and the second half of the year with a little bit more memory storage. Okay, friends, these are the 4 mindful methods that we'll use and follow when conducting our mid-year reset together. And like I said earlier, if you're a Notion girly like me, I got you, don't worry. I literally put everything I mentioned here and more into that little Notion hub that's free. Just click the link in the description and you can access that for free. If you liked this video, then maybe you'd like to see some of those New Year reset videos that I was kind of talking about in this video. I'll go ahead and link them down below so you can check them out in the meantime. Let me know if you do this little reset regimen, this challenge. If you like the Notion hub, just hit me up on Instagram in my DMs. I'd love to chat. With all that being said, thank you so much for watching and subscribing. I appreciate each and every one of you that clicks on my videos and subscribes and likes. Happy resetting. I will see you very soon. And don't forget to stay mindful. Bye.